Hello, cookie friends. Let me double check and make sure everybody's in here. Yay, I am live. Woo woo. Hi, friends. We are going to just decorate cookies for, well, we're going to do a couple of, hold please. Let me see if I'm live in my class. I don't think I am. I'm live in the class, but not on my actual page, I don't think. Somebody let me know. Hello, somebody's watching. Let me know if you're watching. I am going to, hi, Crystal. Hello. Crystal, are you in my cookie class watching, or are you on my Facebook page watching? Just trying to figure out which one I'm on. Let me see if I can switch that. Let's see. I just want to make sure I'm live in my Facebook group and on my actual page. Let's see. I tried to do it, and I don't know that I am on my actual page. Somebody let me know. You're on YouTube. Oh, the Lewahickeys, that's what it is. I went live on YouTube. No big deal. This is fun. You can join me on YouTube too. I thought I was on my other Facebook group, but no biggie piggy. I want to be in our class for September. So as long as I'm in class for September, you're on YouTube right now watching me. Fantastic. I am teaching this virtual class coming up on, I think it is September. Let me double check. You didn't pay for class. That's okay. We're just practicing the cookies for class. We're just practicing some transfers. So no biggie piggy. The virtual class is going to be on the 14th. Oh, yay. That's awesome, Darlene. I'm actually just watching. I'm just doing a little practice run with okay, Laura is here on Facebook. Okay, good. I have both of you up now. I just want to make sure that I'm in our group, which is the private Facebook group for the class, and I'm on YouTube. YouTube is just for fun. If you are watching on YouTube, no biggie piggy. You're not getting anything. I promise you didn't do anything wrong. I just pushed it so that I could practice. So you get to kind of do a little extra with us today. So what we're going to do for the cookie class. So people who are here, that's Mike. Hopefully he is, I told him I was on live, so I just got rid of it. Yes, Darlene, I'm on YouTube too. Did you not know that? Yes, I am. So this is a practice for those who are taking my September cookie class, which is this class right here. It's a virtual class, super duper fun. But I want to practice making the transfers for the class. But I also want to show you that I just uploaded a bonus cookie. This cookie is not from Bobby at RB Creation Shop. We're going to make this cookie ourselves. So we're going to do two things. I'm going to show you. I just uploaded a PDF that gave you this right here. It says Sunflower Bonus Cookie. This is the Sunflower Bonus Cookie. This is the shape of the cookie. And I basically just created a shape. If you already have a cookie cutter that has 10 petals on it, or it's actually, I think, a sun maybe. If you have anything that has pointy 10-ish petals or maybe sun rays on them, you can make this cookie. So I just made a design, and all you have to do is cut this out. So you can take your little sheet that I gave you, this little bonus PDF sheet, and I'm going to cut it up, and I'm going to show you how to do this. You can literally take this and you can cut it, and then you can lay this right on your dough, and then you can have this cookie cutter. You don't even need a cookie cutter. This is not part of the set that Bobby is doing at rbcreationshop.com for us. He made the other cookie cutters for me. This is just one I created using a sun image. I think it was a sun image from Canva. And now I'm turning it into basically just a template so that you can make a cookie out of this. And all I used is a pen blade right on top of my dough. So let me show you. Just finish cutting it. And then we're going to place this on our dough. Roll out your dough as normal. And then you're going to place this little template right on top. So pretend your dough is rolled out. Let me grab some dough. Well, here's my, pretend this is our dough. It's rolled out. I'm going to lay my template right on top like this. And then I took these are called pen blades. I have them in my Amazon storefront. These are food grade pen blades. And all I did was I chiseled away at this cookie using the pen blade, just like that, on the raw dough. Then I took it off and I put this on a tray and I baked it. So you can do that. Just use a pen blade and you can just use your template that I gave you to put right on your dough and to cut it out. So if you don't have a cookie cutter, I did not include this cookie cutter for Bobby. This is like a little bonus cookie for us. I also gave you these little circles on this sheet. So for these circles, what we're going to do is we're going to place these inside of one of our cello bags, and we are going to make the center for our cookie as a transfer. So we're going to pipe DQ curl, or that medium consistency icing, onto these circles, and then we're going to add some of our chocolate sprinkles for the texture. So yay us. Hello, hello. So those of you who are in the September cookie class, this video will be posted here for you in our private Facebook group. If you all are watching on YouTube, this is like a little bonus for you. But if you want to sign up for any of my virtual classes, you can go to customcookiesbykaren.com and you'll see virtual classes there for you. So let's go ahead and practice what we're going to do for these. We're also going to practice our transfers for class. So I think what I'll do first is type these, because these are going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy. I'm going to take my huge cellophane bag, and this is a bag I have in my Amazon storefront. I love it because your regular 8.5 by 11 sheets fit in here. So we're going to do that first. We're going to make some of these little centers for our adorable sunflower first. So we're going to make those. And I'm going to go ahead and get our icing consistency ready. So again, if you're in class, this is a great practice for you so you could learn how to make our consistencies that you need for class. Now I'm using Buckeye Brown. That is my favorite brown. I'm going to grab a bowl and we're going to go ahead and mix up some Buckeye Brown. So let me show you the consistency that pretty much comes right out of my mixer. This is the consistency in my mixer. It's probably like a DQ curl. That is the consistency that I like right out of my mixer. So we're going to start with that and we're going to make it brown. So I'm going to use Buckeye Brown. I'm going to make it the correct color. And then if I have to add more powdered sugar to get it a little bit thicker, we can do that. Let's start by mixing it up. Anybody else here in our Facebook group? This is just me getting in here so that I can show you all the consistency that you need for your royal icing transfers, and also the new bonus cookie that I just gave you today in our group. So not quite dark enough for what I want for the center of my sunflower. So I'm going to add a little bit more Buckeye Brown, and then I will show you the correct consistency. That's looking pretty darn good. Okay. Again, you do you. I'm going to make it a tad bit darker, a little bit more brown, and then I'm going to get it to the correct consistency. And this is how I test my consistencies for the transfers. What I'm going to do is pull my icing up, and as long as it creates that little DQ curl that we've talked about where it kind of flips over and holds its shape, that's the correct consistency for transfers. Let me show you. So lift up, and I'm going to pull it over, and as long as that little top holds its shape, then it is the correct consistency. But as you can see, it's not. It is too loose. So I'm going to add a little bit of powdered sugar to help that. So let's go ahead and add maybe 2 teaspoons of powdered sugar. And we're going to thicken up that icing to get it to the correct consistency for transfers. This is what I like to use for writing, for details, and for creating my transfers. I can tell it feels really thick, which is good. All right, so again, lift your spatula up out of the bowl, and it should turn over like that. That is a DQ curl. That's my version of what I like to call a writing consistency or detail consistency. And that's what I like for transfers. So this is the perfect consistency for transfers. So we're going to go ahead and put that in a bag. We're going to bag it up, bag it up. And let's go. So fun. This video will be kept in our private Facebook group. So you will get a chance to see that in our private Facebook group for this class. This class is the September Farm Fun virtual class. Let's roll. And I like to use my red tab on my bag sealer for my consistency that is a little bit thicker. So my detail consistency, I always use a red little tape on it. And if it's a thinner consistency, I'll use a blue tab. That just helps me remember which one it is. All right, we've got this. And that's our DQ consistency for these transfers. We can go ahead and do these. And then what I'll do is we'll make up some more icing for the sunflowers that we're going to also practice. So we put our template in a bag. If you don't have the large bags, you can always use your cellophane bags, just that you use to package your cookies with. Just make sure that your sheet fits inside of it. That's all you have to do. So for this, I'm going to outline and then kind of flood this circle. I want to try to stay inside the circle so that it fits my cookie perfectly. If I go outside of that circle too much, it may not fit my cookie perfectly. So I'm going to stay in that circle. I'm going to squeeze, 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 fill, fill, fill. And then I'm going to take my my scribe tool, and I'm just going to get it to settle a little bit. Does not have to be perfect, because guess what? We're going to be adding sprinkles on this. We're going to be adding our jimmies or our these little guys to create the texture for our center of our sunflower. So it does not have to be a perfect circle. It does not have to be perfectly smooth in terms of the flood. And now what I'm going to do is just go ahead and place a few of these guys in here. And if they go off the side, it actually helps, because I'll show you what we're going to do. We're going to just take the edge of our scribe tool, and we're going to push those guys in. And I'm okay if some of the Buckeye Royal icing shows through. Perfectly fine. It does not have to all be covered, because if you think about a sunflower, you'd kind of see those seeds in there. So I think that looks great. So we've got this looking good. Anybody else, let me know that you're here. I know we have a couple of people watching on YouTube and a couple of people watching prepping for class. So let me know that you're here. There we go. That looks great. So then you would make as many of these as you want to make for your class. And then what you're going to do is you're going to wait until we pipe the yellow petals on our sunflower cookie. And once we've piped the yellow flowers, you'll be able to take this transfer and pop it right on there. Now, the transfers are going to take about a day to dry. So you're going to want to do your transfers a day or two before class, because you want these to pop off really nicely. And it's going to take about a day for that to happen. If you have a dehydrator, you can go ahead and put your sheet in a dehydrator, and that can help it go a little bit more quickly. So let's put these over here to dry. And then we're going to go ahead and do the transfers for the rest of class. I'm going to let that guy crust over. And let's go ahead and do the transfers for sunflower transfers that look like this. Same thing, when I'm doing transfers for class, I'm going to put this sheet that I gave you in class or in our workbook. I'm going to put this in a sleeve. So let me grab another sleeve. Don't think I brought one over. You can find these sleeves, remember, in the Facebook, or I'm sorry, in the Amazon storefront. So they are 9 by 12 sleeves. We're going to stick it in the bag. And then we're going to go ahead and get our icing ready for the sunflowers. So same consistency that we used for the sunflowers, or for the center of the sunflower. We already have our brown. We're going to need that for the center of these transfers. And remember, this is what they're going to look like when we're done. So we're hoping to have some cute little flowers that look like this. Some of them are going to be large, and the large ones are going to go on your horse or your cow. And then we also need to make some smaller ones, and the smaller ones are going to go in your barn. So you're going to need both sizes of the transfers. I like to use this egg yellow when I'm making sunflower color. I think this egg yellow is absolutely gorgeous. This one happens to be my AmeriColor. So I'm going to use AmeriColor egg yellow with that same icing right out of my mixer. And then we're going to create that DQ curl or stiff DQ curl icing for these transfers. So let's go do it. Here's another bowl. Let's get another spatula. I have some gold icing already, or the egg yellow. So I'm going to kind of make some new icing using my old icing that I've had on my table for a couple of days and some new icing. So let's go ahead and mix them. Now, for the petals on the flowers, we're going to actually do a stiffer DQ curl. So almost what you might use for floral work is what we're looking for today. So I just squirted a little bit of the egg yellow in this icing, mixed with the egg yellow icing that I already had and the white icing. I like to combine my kind of icing, my fresh icing, with icing that has been sitting around. Totally good. Icing is great at room temperature for 2 weeks at room temperature, 1 month in the refrigerator, or 3 months in the freezer, as long as you have used meringue powder in your recipe. You're good to go. If you're using egg white, it's not as stable, so you would not be able to keep it on your counter for up to 2 weeks. Okay, let's check and see the consistency of this. So we're looking for that DQ curl like we did before. There's the DQ curl. But for these petals to hold their shape a little bit more, I'm going to go a little bit stiffer. So I'm going to actually add a little bit more powdered sugar until that little flip doesn't flip over quite as much. Again, you're going to have to figure out what works for you. It's not as stiff as like floral work, but I want it to be a little bit stiffer than my DQ curl. So I call this stiff DQ curl. It's still going to flop over, but it's not going to flop over quite as much. So there is our icing again. Let's lift it up. And there we've got the DQ curl still looking good. We can still go a little bit stiffer for those petals, because as you can see, if I shake, it does start to settle in a little bit, and I don't want it to. I kind of want those pieces, as you can see here, to really look like they have detail in them. That's why I'm going to add more powdered sugar. Another teaspoon or so. It shouldn't be crazy hard to mix with your spatula. It shouldn't feel like you're going to break your arm, but it should feel, like a little bit of resistance. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to lift up. I'm going to show you. Do you see how that's a bit stiffer? That's what I'm looking for when I'm doing those petals. So this is really nice, what we're doing today for the petals on our transfers for the sunflowers. You do you, though. You may be able to go a little bit thinner or even a little bit thicker. It's really going to depend on you and your comfort level for piping. We also have to make our own leaf tip. So we're not going to use a tip. If you happen to have a small leaf tip, you can do it. You could use it, but I'm going to show you how to create a leaf tip just by cutting your bag. So I went ahead and put that icing in a bag. Oh, I'm so glad, Darlene. That makes me very happy that you're going to sign up for class. Super duper happy. I love it. All right. Easy peasy for this class. We really only have transfers that are going to be the sunflowers. So we really only need 2 colors. If you wanted to add a little bit of sprinkles Some of us were adding a little bit of sanding sugar to the center of these. You certainly can. I'm not going to do that today, but if you wanted to add sanding sugar, have that ready. I'm just going to do regular. And for me, the easiest way to do the sunflowers would be to start with the petals and then pipe the center. So that's what we're going to do first. I'm going to start with the large ones because large is a little bit easier. And when I make a leaf tip, this is what I like to do. I try to squeeze the air out so that my icing is at the end of my bag. If it won't get there, you can carefully just cut a tiny little bit off so the air can escape like that. I like to put my seam facing the ceiling. And the reason I do that is it creates a better hole for us than if the seam is on the side. Again, this is just me. That's what I like to do. So there's my seam. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut into the seam on this side. Then I'm going to flip it and I'm going to cut into the seam again. You can see here, though, this section of the sunflower is not really big. So we don't need to make a really deep or a wide cut. We're going to try and stay pretty narrow. So take your scissors and cut into the seam on one side, flip it, and then cut into the seam on the other side. Now, the first time you cut a leaf tip, it's probably not going to be perfect, and that's okay. Oftentimes, one side will be a little bit maybe cocked and the other one won't be, so just practice. I'm going to show you right here. If I did it right, both sides will be the same, and it looks to me like the one side is still a little bit wider. So I'm going to cut it again so that it looks a little bit more uniform. Sometimes I can look at it and see. So I'm going to cut this side in a little bit more to the seam. And now let's see. Yep, that looks a little bit better. All right, you can see how the icing is holding its shape. I'm going to bring you in a little bit closer. See how the icing is holding its shape, but it's not super, super, super stiff? That's what I'm looking for this. I don't want it to be so stiff that the petals are going to break off, but I want it to be thick enough that it's going to hold its shape. And that is looking pretty darn good. So now we get to pipe the beautiful sunflowers. So I'm going to take my icing and I'm going to make sure I come into my circle a little bit so that when I add that dot in the center, it's going to hold the petals in place. If I don't have my yellow touching my brown, then it's just going to fall apart as a transfer. So I'm going to take my icing and I'm just going to press in and out like this. I'm going to skip every other one for now so that I can let each petal kind of crust before I do the next one. So I'm going to turn it and I'm doing every other petal. Then once I'm finished with that rotation, I should be able to go back in and do the every other one now. When I make a leaf, I'm actually pushing in and pulling out, and then I release pressure to have it come up. If your end looks like that, let me pull you in even closer, where it looks like it's not connecting, you can just take your scribe tool like this and you can push it in. If you are having a hard time and you feel like your petal is too wide, we can cut our bag again. I'm going to try this one, and if I think it's too wide, I will recut my bag, and I'll show you how to do that. So again, I'm looking for that seam facing up, and now I'm going to go back in here and do these petals. Because the icing is relatively stiff, they should still hold their shape, and you should still be able to see the individual petals. They should not kind of go into each other. And I'm thinking that these might be a little bit too thick or wide of a petal. So for the next one, I'm going to come back out and we're going to cut it again. Once I have the petals the way I want, like that, I'm going to take my brown icing, which is my same thing, DQ curl consistency, and I'm just going to go straight up and down, and I'm going to apply pressure. Then I'm going to release pressure and I'm going to lift up. And that should make a nice little sunflower center. Pressure, 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 release pressure, and lift up. If your little mound that you made has a tip on it, just gently push off to the side. Now I have a cute little sunflower. I think that's going to look beautiful. But I think I want to try making them a little bit more narrow. So let me show you an easy way to solve that problem. Here's my bag of icing. I don't like it. The consistency is good, but the hole or the leaf tip is too wide. So I'm just going to take this. I'm going to actually cut the tip off that I created. I'm going to place this in a bag. There it is. I'm going to put that seam facing the ceiling, and now I'm going to cut it again. This time I'm going to make it a little bit more narrow. So instead of cutting out like this, I'm going to cut in a little bit more. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to take my scissor and I'm going to just gently cut into the seam. Then I'm going to flip and I'm going to cut again. Now remember, the first time you do it, just like I did, it may not be right, and that's okay. Sometimes you have to cut it more than once. I'm going to put the seam up, facing up again, and now I'm going to practice piping to see how that looks. Definitely smaller, so you can see I can get a better leaf now, I think, or petal with my leaf tip. I'm thinking that's better. I'm liking it. The only thing I might do is cut the one side a little bit more. Let's try. You never know. And if you need your cheater glasses, make sure you have them. I'm doing it off of the camera because I don't want that tiny little piece that I'm cutting to kind of go onto our cookie or to our transfer right now. So again, I'm going to come here and I'm just going to cut it one more time so that that side is a little bit larger to match the other side. Again, do not worry if you don't get it right the first time. I often do not. Okay, let's try again. Okay, I think it's going to work. Let's try it. We're going to go ahead and do this guy now. So go push in and out and then release pressure, lift up. And remember, if it doesn't stick to a point, use your tool to get it to stick. Turn your transfer sheet and do another one. Turn again. And again. If you don't have these bags, you can also use, what's it called? You could use parchment paper. I just don't like how the back gets kind of crinkly on parchment paper. I would prefer to do it this way. And then go back to the alternating leaves or petals. And continue making them. And when you're finished, take your brown and remember, straight up and down. I'm going to apply pressure, 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 release pressure, lift up. And then if I have to, I'm going to go in there and get that little tip off. All right, stinking cute. Let's keep on working. I'm going to do another one. Keep on trying. That is all you can do. Best part is if you don't like one of your transfers, just get rid of it and start again. Here we go. Okay, not liking that, so we're going to take that guy off. Do it again. Who's here on Facebook? Let me know if you're here on Facebook and watching. If you are, that means you are in our Facebook group today and you happen to be watching what I'm working on. So yay. If you are not here today and you're watching this on replay, I always put our videos on replay so that everybody can see them. They'll be in the private Facebook group for everybody. I'm just recutting this one side because when I pulled my bag out, I got a little bit of flex in it, which means I need to cut it again because I accidentally pulled it too tight. Have you guys ever done that? When you're like pulling this to clean it, I pulled it and it made my bag get a little warped. So I'm doing it again. Cutting it one more time. You can also use a teeny, teeny, tiny pair of scissors. This can also help. So again, I'm doing it off of the live because I need to use my cheater glasses and I need to be up close. Let's see if that's better. Hold, please. My goodness, I'm blind today. Oh my goodness, Karen. I don't think so. Let's check. Not liking it. So we're going to try it again. Gotta have patience with yourself. Gotta have patience, friends. I'm gonna try one more time. It's gonna be it. It's gonna be the winner right now. Again, what I'm doing is cutting into the seam, but I'm doing it over here where the light is better so that I can see. Important that I get it correct, right? Let's see if that's gonna work. I think it might. Let's see. Let's try it again. I'm gonna bring you in really close. There we go, so you can really see this. And let's see if we've got it. All right, much better, much more fine of a leaf tip. So I can really get in there and get that detail. So what did it took me 3 times to cut it correctly? It's going to happen. Give yourself a little grace and a little patience. And maybe don't drink so much coffee. I did have 2 cups of coffee today. That may have been it. And then go back and do the alternating pieces. So you can see much more detail on these because I took my time and cut my bag. Even if I didn't get it right the first time, I stopped and went back and made sure I was happy with the way it looked. So don't be afraid to go back and fix things. Oh, much better. All right, now let's do our brown. Straight up and down, pressure, 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 release pressure, lift up, and then get rid of any little tips on those. Okay, that's my favorite one so far. Let's do one more this size, and then we'll come back and we'll do a smaller one. So for the smaller one, the hole that I have in my bag right now, the cut that I made is going to be perfect. You may have to cut yours a little bit smaller. So I was able to kind of get in there and cut a small enough hole that I think it's going to work. Remember to make that yellow go all the way into where the brown center is going to be so that that brown icing can connect to your, the brown icing connect to your yellow. If your icing doesn't connect, remember that it's going to fall apart because it's a transfer. It's got to all touch or it will fall apart for sure. At the very end, to get that little tip where it's not fat, it's nice and thin, I'm releasing pressure before I pull away. That helps to get that tip nice. Okay, that might be my best one yet. And straight up and down, pressure, 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 release pressure, lift up, and poke the transfer or poke the little dot so that you don't have that little tip. Okay, those look great. Now you're going to see in the royal icing transfers that I made you some small and I also made you some halves. And the reason I did that is on our barn, I thought sometimes we're going to have it only showing half of a transfer. That's why I did that. But you decide if you want to do that or not. I'm going to go ahead and do the little half ones first, just to make life easier so I can show you. So for the little half ones, I just kind of went in. I always try to find that seam up again. I went in and I did, let me show you here. I went in and I did every other one. Then I went back and I did the other one. And then I just did a half of a moon for the dot. You can go like this, and then you can take your scribe and you can kind of cut it off if you want, like this. And that way you have a half there, nice little straight edge that will fit on the edge of your barn. I guess the little, what is this called? A loft, maybe? The hay loft, I think it's called. So you can try that. All right, let's do another one of the halvesies, and then we'll go up and do the small guys. Remember your seam facing the ceiling, since that's how we cut. I'm going to try doing it where I don't alternate. I just do each one. And if my icing is the right consistency, it should work. It's kind of hard to do that on camera, but let's try it again. I'm going to do it this way, upside down, so that I can see pull better. Here we go. Little leaf, release pressure. Little leaf, release. Little leaf, release. Little leaf or tip. Oh, petal. I'm going to do these two too. These look like they're ready. Cute. And now we have two little halvesies of our cute sunflower. And I'm just getting in there, getting the little tip off the top. And then I'm going to take the bottom and I'm just going to cut it. So it's nice and flat there at the bottom. I'm just using the edge of my scribe tool. If you don't have that, you can use your knife or just leave it. It's no biggie piggy, right? That looks good. Okay, last thing we're going to do is one of the small ones. Same thing, just like we did the half. The difference is we're just going to go all the way around this time. And remember, I like to do every other one. You may get away with being able to do every petal touching the other petal if your icing is thick enough. If your icing is not thick enough, you might struggle with that. The petals might kind of meld into each other right away. So I'm doing it this way, but you can try it and see if it works for you. It would be easier if you could just do them all in a row, right? Last one. And then we'll add the center. The last thing I'm going to teach you today for our little dry run, I'm going to show you how to do the petals on your larger cookie. So that's what you're going to do for your transfers. You're making them. They look beautiful. Love the consistency of the icing. This is going to be a DQ curl that is on the stiffer side. That seems to be working just fine. I'm going to put those away to crust over. And then let's go in here and let's do our cookie. Let me grab my turntable. Oh, golly, my computer is going to die. We cannot have that. Hold, please. We want that guy to be charged up. All right, so here is our cookie that we made. This is our bonus cookie, remember. We're going to do the same thing we did with the transfers, but because this cookie is larger, we're going to actually cut a larger leaf tip in our bag. So let me show you. This will be much easier. Larger holes are much easier. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut into the seam. Boom. I cut into the seam right there. Flip it over. And I'm going to try to cut into the seam the same amount. And again, probably is not going to be right the first time, and that is A-okay. These little pieces, you do not want to get those on your cookie. That's probably do it off of the air or off of the live. The other thing you can do is you can take either a tip, like one of your icing tips, and you can draw a circle. I think I have a tip. Let me grab one. You can use a larger tip like this to give yourself the center of your cookie, and you can kind of find the center, push down like that so that you can create your own center. That can help when you are doing this cookie. I'm going to try and get the focus to stay where I want it. So that is going to remind me where the center of my cookie is. I'm going to make sure that my yellow petals go into the circle a little bit, but they don't have to go all the way in. We're going to add that transfer on top. So your transfer would have to already be ready. Mine is not quite ready. Yours would have to be dried for 24 hours before you do this part, because you want the leaves to be ready to, or the petals to be ready to accept the center. So I'm going to start here. I'm pushing a lot of pressure in and out because, again, this is a larger leaf or a larger petal than what we were doing before. So if you think about that, you want to apply a lot of pressure. And then as you go up, it's smaller towards the tip, release pressure, and then pull. That is how I do that little petal on our sunflower. A lot of pressure. And then as I want it to get thinner, I'm going to loosen up the pressure. Okay, a bunch of pressure in and out, and then I'm applying less pressure towards the end, release pressure, pull out. If it does that little point at the end, just take your scribe and push it together. That's all you're doing. It doesn't matter if they're too thin, because guess what? We're going to come back and flood or fill more petals on top. So once you've done those 5, you can go back and do the other 5. And I'm going to start at the center and push in. And as I get towards the tip, release pressure and pull out. This is going to make a really sweet cookie. And release, pull out. Practice. The more you practice, the better you'll get at this. So again, it's the in and out motion. So push and pull and less pressure as you get to the end. And you are done. Now, if you want your cookie to have another layer of petals, you certainly can. You could go back in now and do another layer of smaller petals on the inside. I can go ahead and model that for you in case that's what you want to do. So once this has started to crust over just a little bit, again, this is pretty thick icing. You don't need to wait very long. You can come in and just do some smaller petals like this. I think this makes it look even more like a sunflower, but you do not have to if you don't want a second layer of petals, but you certainly can. Doesn't that look pretty? And then you would take your transfer that you made. Let me remind you, here it is. And you would pop it off and you would lay it right there on this cookie, which is why this needs to be totally ready to go. My transfer is not. It is not ready. But if it was, I could literally just pop it right off of here and I could put it on that cookie. But it is not. It's not ready. But let me just kind of show you what I mean. You would pop it off like this and you would lay it here in the center of your cookie. Now remember, mine is not ready, right? Mine is not. Mine is way too soft. I did not wait 24 hours, but you get the gist. We're going to be laying it in the center of our cookie to make our sunflower. Obviously, mine is still super duper soft, so I can kind of move it to get it to the center. When you do this cookie, you will not even have to do that because yours will be totally ready to roll. Make sense? And then you're going to have a really cute sunflower. Yay! If you have any questions, now you know what you're doing. If you have any questions in our group, just send a message. We will answer it for you, and we will tell you what you need to do. I hope you are so ready for this class. I think it's going to be so much fun. We are going to be doing all 4 of these cookies in class. We are not going to do the sunflower cookie in class. This is just for you. It was just a little extra bonus for you, but we're not going to be decorating that cookie in class. These are the 4 that we are going to decorate. So thanks for being here, friends, and I will see you in cookie class. Bye, cookie friends.